Freediving is as breathtaking as it is literally dangerous. It's a sport where divers plunge deep underwater on a single breath, chasing records, serenity, or sheer adrenaline. But when things go wrong beneath the surface, they go wrong fast. In this look at the most horrifying freediving deaths, we'll explore real stories of skilled divers who pushed their limits too far and paid the ultimate price, reminding us that the ocean is beautiful, silent, and merciless. In the world of freediving, a sport where people voluntarily plunge to terrifying depths in a single breath, few names were as respected as Stephen Keenan. Born in Ireland, Stephen wasn't always drawn to the deep. In fact, he started out like many adventurers, restless, curious, and looking for something more. That something more eventually led him to the Red Sea, specifically Dahab, Egypt, home of the legendary Blue Hole, a breathtaking, dangerous underwater sinkhole that's both mesmerizing and tragically deadly. Stephen became a top safety diver and co-founder of Dahab Freedivers, where he trained others in the art of descending into the deep with no oxygen tank, just lungs, skill, and an iron will. He was admired not just for his athleticism, but for his calm presence, fierce dedication, and how seriously he took his role in keeping others safe. People trusted him with their lives, and he never took that lightly. In July 2017, he assisted Alessia Zecchini, a rising star in freediving. She was young, talented, and ambitious, known for her daring dives and unwavering focus. Her goal? To swim through the Arch, an underwater passage located around 56 meters down and 26 meters long. It's a challenge even for the most seasoned freedivers. The plan was tight and well-rehearsed. Alessia would dive down, swim through the arch, and Stephen would be there at the other end to guide her back to the surface. But even the most carefully laid plans can unravel in seconds. On that fateful dive, a few miscalculations stacked up like dominoes. Alessia reached the arch exit about 10 seconds earlier than expected, blazing fast. Stephen, on the other hand, had started his descent about 20 seconds later than originally planned. When she exited, she was disoriented, and instead of rising along a guideline, she drifted off course. That's when Stephen, ever the professional, sprang into action. He found her, grabbed her, and started swimming them both upward. At that depth, with time and oxygen running low, every second counts. Freedivers train for this. Stephen had trained for this, but sometimes the body gives out before the will does. Just 10 meters from the surface, Stephen blacked out a shallow water blackout caused by low oxygen levels. Alessia made it to the surface. Stephen didn't. Rescue divers got to him quickly, and they tried everything, but it was too late. The freediving world was shaken. Stephen's death wasn't just the loss of a great athlete, it was the loss of a protector, a mentor, and a man who had literally given his life trying to save another. He was the first safety diver known to die during a rescue. In the wake of the tragedy, tributes poured in. Friends, students, and fellow divers all spoke of his courage, his compassion, and how deeply he loved the ocean. The Stephen Keenan Memorial Award was later created to honor safety divers who go above and beyond, just as he did. The story of Stephen and Alessia reached global audiences through the 2023 Netflix documentary The Deepest Breath, which traced their journeys, their friendship, and the fateful dive that bound them forever. It's a sobering reminder that even in pursuits of beauty and greatness, the ocean demands respect, and sometimes it takes back the ones who love it most. Boesmansgat, or Bushman's Hole, in South Africa, is a place that has become infamous in the world of cave diving. It's one of the deepest freshwater caves in the world, reaching depths that few dare to venture into. This is where the tragic story of Dion Drier and Dave Shaw unfolds, a tale of bravery, sacrifice, and the unpredictable dangers of deep diving. In 1994, Dion Drier, a young and enthusiastic diver, was assisting with preparations for a deep dive at Boesmansgat. Little did anyone know that this routine dive would soon take a devastating turn. The cave, known for its pristine but treacherous conditions, had claimed the lives of others before, but nothing could have prepared the diving community for what would transpire that fateful day. On December 17, 1994, Dion encountered something that went horribly wrong. He was diving near the surface when, for reasons still debated, he either suffered from oxygen toxicity or hypercapnia, too much carbon dioxide in the blood, which led to him losing consciousness at about 50 meters below the surface. Oxygen toxicity occurs when a diver inhales too much pure oxygen, causing seizures and unconsciousness, while hypercapnia occurs when a diver's body cannot expel carbon dioxide fast enough, leading to confusion, unconsciousness, and potentially fatal consequences. Tragically, despite the best efforts of his team, Dion was unable to make it back to the surface. His body was lost in the dark, murky depths of the cave where light cannot reach and time seems to stand still. The divers who had been with him on the dive were devastated. Despite a series of daring recovery attempts over the years, his body remained undiscovered. For an entire decade, Boesman's Gat held on to the secret of where Dion's body lay, untouched by time and nearly forgotten by those who loved him. Fast forward to 2004, when Australian cave diver Dave Shaw, who had already made a name for himself as an expert in extreme diving, decided to attempt a recovery. Shaw was a seasoned diver who had taken on numerous high-risk, deep-water missions throughout his career, but recovering a body from 270 meters underwater in a pitch-black cave was unlike any challenge he had faced. Shaw knew the risks, but he was determined to bring closure to Dion's family and to the diving community that had been haunted by the unsolved mystery of his disappearance. After a grueling descent, Shaw found Dion's body where it had rested for 10 long years. The scene was haunting, a body frozen in time at the bottom of a cold, dark cave. But the mission was far from over. Shaw knew that the next phase of the operation was even riskier than the descent, bringing Dion's remains back to the surface. In January 2005, Dave Shaw made the dangerous decision to dive again, this time to retrieve Dion's body. This dive would be his last. Shaw, despite all his expertise, was not immune to the dangers of such extreme depths. As Shaw descended deeper into the cave, the pressures of the extreme depth and the complexities of the dive became too much for even his seasoned experience. Tragically, Shaw lost his life during the ascent, leaving his team in shock and grief. His diving buddy, Don Shirley, who had accompanied him on the dive, came close to perishing as well. Don's heroic attempt to rescue Shaw's body resulted in severe injuries. The extreme pressures of the cave had taken their toll, and Don was left with permanent damage to his body, specifically to his balance, which would affect him for the rest of his life. It was a tragic turn of events, where the courage and expertise of both divers could not save them from the unforgiving forces of Boesman's Gat. The death of Dave Shaw and the loss of Dion Drier became one of the most poignant stories in the world of cave diving. It serves as a sobering reminder of how dangerous these extreme sports can be, and how even the most experienced divers can fall victim to the unpredictable forces of nature. The story of these two men, their sacrifices, and the risks they took in an attempt to recover a fallen comrade is a testament to the unwavering spirit of those who explore the unknown. They gave their lives in the pursuit of something greater than themselves, and in doing so, they became legends within the diving community. The incident was not just about tragedy, though. It brought global attention to the risks of cave diving, the need for proper preparation, and the human element behind such daring adventures. It highlighted the fine line between exploration and danger, and how the thrill of discovery is often tempered with the harsh realities of the risks involved. The story of Dion Drier and Dave Shaw continues to be told in documentaries, articles, and books, reminding us that while the thrill of exploration is strong, it comes with an immense cost. Their sacrifice has helped raise awareness of the dangers faced by cave divers and the importance of respecting the unpredictable and potentially lethal forces of the deep. It is a legacy of bravery and caution, a tale that continues to inspire future divers and explorers, while serving as a somber reminder of the fragility of life when faced with the unknown. Yuri Lipsky's tragic death is one of the most haunting and talked about stories in the world of cave diving. It's a cautionary tale about pushing the limits of human endurance and the extreme dangers of exploring the unknown. In 2013, Lipsky, an experienced cave diver, set out on what would become his final dive into the notorious Cave of Swallows, Cueva de las Golondrinas, in Mexico. This cave, known for its extreme depth and unpredictable conditions, has claimed the lives of many before and after, and Lipsky's attempt was no different. He wasn't just diving for fun. He was attempting a record-breaking descent to the deepest part of the cave, a place no one had ever reached before. What made this dive even more perilous was the complexity of the environment. The Cave of Swallows is a vertical shaft that drops down more than 1,200 feet, which in itself is terrifying. When you add in the difficulty of navigating tight underwater passages with heavy diving equipment, it becomes a real-life test of both physical and mental strength. Lipsky, like many experienced divers, was well aware of the risks, but he was also prepared, or so he thought, with his equipment and training. However, things quickly went wrong. As Yuri made his way deeper into the cave, something went awry with his dive gear, specifically his oxygen supply. In cave diving, even a small malfunction can turn deadly in an instant. Lipsky's situation grew more dire as his breathing became more labored and the light from his dive light flickered. With limited oxygen and no immediate way to reach the surface, his chances of survival were quickly dwindling. In a tragic twist, his helmet camera continued recording during his final moments, capturing everything that happened in the minutes leading up to his death. The footage, which later surfaced online, showed the harsh reality of his struggle, the cold, isolation, and the crushing pressure of being stuck so far beneath the surface with no escape. It's a chilling reminder of the risks associated with extreme sports and the relentless power of nature. What makes this story even more haunting is that Lipsky was not just an ordinary diver. He was an experienced and highly trained professional who understood the risks and had the skills to back them up. But the Cave of Swallows is a place where even the most experienced can be caught off guard. It's a deep, dark, and unforgiving environment that requires more than just technical expertise. It demands a level of caution and respect that sometimes, no matter how hard we try, we can't fully control. Lipsky's story is often shared in the diving community as a somber reminder of the importance of preparation, caution, and respecting the environment we are exploring. It serves as a tribute to his passion for diving and his commitment to pushing boundaries, but also as a warning of the extreme dangers that come with it. For many, his death underscores the unpredictable nature of cave diving, where the line between adventure and tragedy is incredibly thin. If you've ever tried holding your breath for longer than a minute, you'll know it's not exactly a walk in the park. But for Audrey Maestre, it was a way of life. A world-class freediver, marine biologist, and all-around underwater phenom, Audrey pushed the limits of human endurance in a sport where a single mistake can mean the difference between glory and tragedy. Sadly, in her case, it became the latter. Audrey was born in France and raised near the sea, which probably explains why she felt more at home under the waves than above them. She wasn't just chasing records, she was fascinated by the ocean itself. After studying marine biology, she got serious about freediving and eventually teamed up with, and married, the charismatic and controversial freediving champion Francisco Pepín Ferreras. Together, they weren't just a couple, they were a brand. When they weren't breaking records, they were preparing to break them again. By 2002, Audrey was already one of the top freed divers in the world, having previously reached a depth of 125 meters. But that year, she planned something even more daring. A record-breaking no-limits dive to 171 meters. That's 561 feet, almost 2 football fields stacked vertically. No limits freediving is about as extreme as it gets. The diver descends with the help of a weighted sled and relies on an inflatable lift bag to shoot back to the surface. Sounds simple, but if anything goes wrong, There is no second chance at those depths. On October 12th, off the coast of the Dominican Republic, Audrey made her final dive. She descended smoothly, but when she reached the bottom, her lift bag failed to inflate. The air tank supposed to fill it was empty, and just like that, things turned catastrophic. Audrey remained underwater for more than 8 minutes, far too long. By the time she was pulled to the surface, she was unconscious and had no pulse. Tragically, there was no proper medical setup on the dive boat, no professional rescue team, and no emergency plan that could have saved her. The freediving world was stunned. How could something so avoidable have happened? Fingers quickly pointed at Ferreras, who had been in charge of the dive's logistics. Critics argued the dive was rushed, poorly planned, and lacked the safety protocols typically seen in record attempts. Some even suggested that ego and ambition had taken precedence over safety. Carlos Serra, a former friend and associate, later wrote a book called The Last Attempt, painting a disturbing picture of negligence and control surrounding Audrey's final dive. Audrey Maestre's death was not just a tragic accident, it was a wake-up call for the entire freediving community. Since then, safety standards in the sport have been significantly tightened, but her legacy lives on. She was a passionate explorer who loved the ocean deeply and died doing what she loved most. Though her final dive ended in heartbreak, Audrey's name remains etched in the annals of freediving history, not just for her records, but for the lessons her story continues to teach. Let's talk about Nicholas Mavoli, a man who wasn't just chasing records but chasing something deeper, both figuratively and literally. He wasn't your average thrill seeker. By day, he was a Brooklyn-based film technician and actor, working on sets like Gossip Girl and Chappelle's Show. But beneath the surface again, literally, he was a rising star in the elite and risky world of freediving. For the uninitiated, freediving is the art, or madness, of plunging deep underwater on a single breath. No tanks, no bubbles, just lungs, guts, and a whole lot of mental focus. While most of us can barely hold our breath through a tense movie scene, Mavoli could do it for over 3 minutes while diving down over 300 feet. He first hit the competitive freediving scene in 2012 and wasted no time making a name for himself. By 2013, he had already smashed an American record with a 100-meter constant weight dive. Fins on, no turning back. That's over the height of the Statue of Liberty, underwater, on one breath. To say Mavoli was passionate would be underselling it. He lived for this. He spoke about freediving with awe and reverence, describing it as a meditative journey into the unknown. He wasn't doing it for fame or glory. He wanted to understand his limits in the ocean's silence. But with any extreme sport comes risk, and in freediving, that risk is immense. During the vertical blue competition at Dean's Blue Hole in the Bahamas, basically the Super Bowl of freediving, Mavoli attempted a dive to 72 meters without fins. It was ambitious, but not out of character. He was calm, focused, and prepared. He descended into the blue, turned at around 68 meters, and then, in a moment of drive or instinct, chose to keep going. He made it back up, broke the surface, even signaled he was okay, and then collapsed. The cheering stopped. Something was wrong. Despite immediate medical attention, Mavoli couldn't be revived. It was the first fatality at an international freediving competition, sending shockwaves through the freediving world. It's believed he suffered a pulmonary edema, fluid in the lungs caused by the intense pressure changes. A reminder that in a sport built on pushing limits, the ocean doesn't always give second chances.